So everybody, how's everybody doing? This is Clifton Raheem Bradley. Assalamu alaikum. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the presidential race between former President Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. We're gonna sit, and I got one co-host Johnny. Uh, Prophet Johnny. We're gonna he has his own show, but we're gonna get on down to work because I know you people just hate to wait. They just hate to wait. So, Johnny, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing great. A political race that is coming up, and you know what? It's going to be between former President Donald Trump, and I'm not going to say Joe Biden, I think, but I mean Kamala Harris. See,
hmm
and the thing is, we're going to sit down and make an examination of both of them. Okay. And first of all, before we get started, what are your feelings politically? I'm talking about the political policies of J- of Kamala Harris.
Well, I don't like politics, and I'm especially how can I say it, put off by the politics of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. So I'm gonna say it.
Why? Why is that?
Because it's just, even though I don't agree with any of these politicians, any of their policies, especially given the fact that neither of them are sincere. Uh, Kamala Harris is on this campaign to basically normalize the most extreme perversions in our society.
I would agree with you because I'm trying to clean my language up because I'm on YouTube. There's certain ways of life that I don't personally don't agree with. And you know what? I believe that things about other lifestyles should not be taught. Your picture's gone, but your avatar's up. But you know, we can still hear you. But the thing is, I don't believe that you know what it should be taught about certain lifestyles that go beyond theology, man and woman, whatever, should be taught in the public school system. And
hmm
I said there are millions that would disagree. So you don't care for her policies when it comes to something of that nature, huh?
No, I don't. I think it's very destructive to society, and it's very damaging. And to have a person who calls themselves a world leader, which obviously she is not, it's really egregious to promote things that are destructive to society.
Mhm. Yeah, and you know what? But you know what's interesting is half of the nation agrees with her. And I'm starting to think that it's more than half of the nation that agrees. That's what I'm starting to believe. And you know what? Because when I look at the polls, I'm gonna play a little music. I'll put it real low.
Mhm.
Okay. And when I really sit down and really look at things, I believe that this particular way of life has become normalized. So therefore, I'm thinking that there's more people that are accepting of this behavior pattern. People living in a certain way that goes against the creator. Okay, and actually, it's scary to me. It's scary. It shows me about society and what society has went. Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, first you said that you're beginning to think that she's winning. Well,
Yes.
that's the way it's designed. You know,
Yes.
the political arena slash media is designed to uh, give you a persuasion of what they intend to spend. So so if a particular candidate they want, they start shaping the news reports in a way that makes it look like you know it's a fair election and that this candidate is winning, so therefore the election was fair. It's just like marketing.
Hmm.
Whether you have a good product or not, there's a lot of marketing employees that uh, is used to promote a good product as well as a bad product. For example, this is not unlike how when some companies introduce a new product, they create a waiting list, whereas you either are on the mailing wait list or you are in a physical line waiting. They especially like the physical line,
Hmm.
because that's something visual people can see. And when they see a bunch of people waiting in line for something, then there's an assumption that it's something worth waiting for.
Yes. Yes.
So if
And
it's something worth waiting for,
now,
then it has a lot of value, and that persuades people in and of itself.
and you know what? When we talk about that, people struggle. Some people struggle because don't get me wrong. I'm going to go to abortion. There's certain people that believe, you know what, a woman, you will not take away my right to abort or to get rid of something, a baby that I do not want to carry. You're out of place, you know? And there are millions of people that feel that way, but there's a million other people that say that they consider that murder to abort a child if the woman was not raped, it was not incest, something of that nature. It threatens her life. And you know what? I think that it is good that the Supreme Court judges have made it mandatory by having a Supreme Court decision that each state should vote on it for their own selves. But although I don't agree with it, but what are your feelings and your views about that, brother?
Well, I've long since had this attitude towards it, and of course, it's a biblical attitude towards it, um, and also it's a common sense attitude towards abortion. That it's a ridiculous idea for us to conflate a woman's right to uh, choices regarding her body and abortion. To confuse those two is really demonstrates the failure of the human intellect, because there are two separate issues that we all of a sudden, because of friendship of the world, which is another way of saying politics, we can't discern between, because very clearly abortion is not about a woman's right, but it's about a issue that we've long had concerns with and have long established laws concerning. And before there was any known laws, we see biblically that God has objected to the um, arbitrary termination of life.
Yes. Yes.
So, it's about the life of the child. And, by us having books of law regarding the taking of life, whereas you just don't have the right to take another person's life. That's a law that's on the book.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to justify that, we've gotten really clever at talking points. And what we have done is deliberated on the meaning of life and, when does life begin? And, it's funny, all the people that do not have the power to give life are the ones who are determining when life begins rather than the author of life.
So when I'm sitting down marking things, Kamala Harris is Vice President Kamala Harris. Let me give her due in her title. She is for abortion, and former President Donald Trump is against abortion, but you said under certain circumstances. So half of the nation is going to vote for Kamala. The other half is going to vote for Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, and the country is just divided. But when I really sit down and examine it and look at it for myself, I'm talking about from my perspective. Let's take religion. I'm going to take religion out of it for a minute. If Johnny, if you have a wife, and what happens is, if I commit an act of violence and decide to shoot your wife, and she's carrying a baby in her womb, I get a double murder. I get a double murder if that baby dies, and if the mother dies, which I think would be just. What is your opinion about that?
My opinion is you will never be charged.
Okay. Why you say that?
You won't get a chance to get charged.
Oh, I understand.
Right.
What you're saying is I would be met with violence. I would be met with violence. Is that what you're saying?
Facts.
Okay. But I'm saying hypothetically. I'm saying is if I did get the opportunity to get charged by the Chicago Police Department or New York, LA Police Department, I would get charged with 2 murders. So
in most jurisdictions, yes. Or many jurisdictions, you will be charged with a double murder. And what's sad about that, if I might elaborate, what's sad about that is that there would be, some type of deliberation that's not talking about, in addition to talking about your guilt or innocence, but it'll be deliberation about the right to life of the child.
Yes.
I'm sure that'll be part of the defense, where your defense attorney will argue that the child wasn't a real person.
So you know what? Yeah, I'm sure too. Now, the people that are in the chat room right now and the people that are looking online, I encourage you to participate, because you know what? We don't really want to dominate the show. What we're doing is we're tempted to stimulate thought and to get an idea. Who will you vote for? Who are you considering voting for? Former President Donald Trump, Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm going to play a video, and I'm going to add that, and I'm going to.
Let's get more on the polls now from Washington Bureau Chief Political Director Rick Klein. Still a tight race.
Yeah, good morning, George. The momentum that Vice President Harris had the last few weeks appears to have stalled, but she retains a slight edge in both national and battleground state polling. Our latest poll with Ipsos shows Harris up 52-46 among likely voters. That's basically where the race was before the Democratic convention. It's still there now. That is better than President Biden was looking when he exited the race a couple weeks back, when he was trailing nationally and in the major battlegrounds. Our 538 polling average now has Harris up slightly, but just slightly, in 6 of the 7 battleground states. This remains pretty close to a toss-up as we enter this critical stretch, George.
One thing we're seeing, gender gap is widening.
Yeah, this is a big shift since before the convention. The vice president now up 13 points among women, while the former president, Trump, is up 5 points among men. That is movement in both directions, and it's driven primarily by white women, who now say they're more likely to support Harris, according to our polling. You get some sense of why this is inside the issues. Harris seen as more trustworthy by far on her ability to handle abortion rights, which is why Trump is trying to find a new position, one would presume. Trump, though, retains a decisive edge on his ability to handle the economy and inflation, as well as the border. And if the election is about personal favorability or trust of the candidates, it now looks like Harris has the edge. But if it's about the most salient issues for voters, including those pocketbook issues and questions around public...
We're going to press on.
It appears as though, from what the lady said, for people that did not hear, that former President Donald Trump has a problem and a difficulty and struggles and believes that the mic should not be muted when the individual is answering the question or giving a response. And I personally think that the debates might not even go off. I don't think so, because in a sense, I don't think that it's probably in the best interest of former President Donald Trump to debate Kamala Harris. I believe she's a better debater. What is your opinion?
Not unless she's done some work since the last time she debated. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wasn't impressed with any of her debates that I've saw.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially when you include content.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and of course, you know, because it's hard for me to see someone as a great debater when they're debating false issues or wrong issues, like they're on the wrong side of abortion. So someone that's debating the justness of abortion, I can't say that they're a great debater.
Okay.
You know, because to me, a great debater is someone who brings clarity. And the only way you can bring clarity is to speak truth.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's just the way I look at it. I know there's all kind of so-called academic ways of looking at debate, and many of those ways are, you know, political in nature. But that's not the way I look at debates. I look at debates from a standpoint of truth. Who's telling the truth, and who's making the truth more clear.
Yes. So I believe, you know what, I am looking forward to the listening audience, man. I see y'all looking on YouTube. Okay. And if you want to chime in or call in and say, who do you believe would be the best president of the United States of America in year 2024, whether it be former President Donald Trump or, I don't know why I keep on saying his name first, Vice President Kamala Harris. I do know why. And you know what? So, I would like to ask you, Johnny. There is a immigration problem. The immigration problem in the United States of America in year 2024, and y'all can use this show right here as a case study for later on, after me and him are long gone. Okay, but I would like to ask you. She was appointed the immigration czar over immigration and people coming into the country illegally. And she has not been down to the border except one time. and some people say that was for a photo op. What are your views about the way her handling of the borders and down in Texas around about people coming, thousands are coming over the border? What is your view about that?
You know what? I really have to talk about another issue, really to address the subject matter of Kamala Harris being called the border czar.
Okay.
You know, you know, this may sound like a bit of a rant, but I mean, it's not. It's. I have to connect the dots. So, people are easily deceived these days because we are in the habit of overcorrecting uh, certain historic ills. So, because of racial discrimination that was slavery and Jim Crow, we feel the need to avoid truths that may put certain demographics in a bad light. You know, we have
Yes.
a problem sticking to uh, just some very concrete ideas. So
Yes.
because of that, people seem to be trying to be careful on calling Kamala Harris on her dullness of political savvy, her dullness of domestic and international foreign affairs.
Yes.
She knows nothing about border. I don't know if she studied up on it, but I'm sure it's nothing that is, uh, you know, she can't at this point convince, you know, people who are paying attention that she has convictions either way. Because when you, if she has had convictions about immigration and national and international affairs, she would not have ever had any trouble articulating them in her
Yes.
first campaign to be elected vice president.
Yes.
There's no way that you have convictions about these very important issues and you are a adequate leader and you can't articulate them prior to election. So
Mm-hmm.
well into her tenure as vice president, she has not been able to articulate her convictions on immigration and a host of other issues.
Yes.
But nonetheless, what we do, as is customary, we don't hold certain demographics accountable, and
Yes.
we attribute to them things that just aren't true about them. So we can say that Kamala Harris is a border czar with nothing to substantiate that, because she is a woman and considered to be a minority even amongst women.
Yes. You know, you have people that are, I can see there's people that are looking at this show. You have people that live in Chicago, New York, and California. California is a disaster, okay, and New York. And what would you say to the pundits that say that immigrants, first of all, I have to tell people, if I was an immigrant, I would try to do everything I could to get into the United States of America from these bordering countries because of the strife in the drug lords and the economy, and I don't blame them for that. But what would you say to the people that live in these sanctuary cities like Chicago, New York, and California that say this is not fair, that money, a capital, is being earmarked for people that did not follow the protocol to come into the United States of America? They're draining Social Security. It's putting a burden on Social Security and Medicare. What would you say? Are they right? And if they're right or wrong, please let me know.
Well, but the problem that I have with this that is certain is transparency. Now, if we had transparency about why they're doing something that seems so obviously blatant against the citizens of the U.S., then it needs to be explained. It needs to be talked about and divulged. Okay, this is our plan. This is why we're doing this. But to me, it really is a lack of respect for the American people that they will continue to do something that seems very obviously detrimental. It's creating a lot of conflict, and then they're just doing it in a very dismissive way. Not is the way they do it is so obviously dismissive of how we feel that they're not really even addressing how we feel. It's like they're delegitimizing our feelings on that.
Would you say that the impact of thousands of people coming across the border of Texas and being shipped to sanctuary cities, with sanctuary cities say that we will accept these people, okay, individuals that are coming from these impoverished areas, would you say that this is going to have an impact on Social Security and Medicare, and wages are going to be lowered because you have a mass movement of people that will work for lower wages rather than not have a job? Will you expand upon that? And if you disagree,
Oh yeah, well, so economically, it's disadvantageous for the common worker because it's just more competition for medium skilled or no skilled jobs, and in some cases higher skilled jobs. Because I would suppose that some of the people that are immigrating are of high skill. Not all of them are of low skill. So what they're doing is flooding the pool of these types of workers where there's more competition, and where there's competition for jobs, there's wage competition. Whereas because of the competition, the companies can offer a lower wage, for those particular positions because, they have more options.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So will this put a hamper? Will this damage Social Security
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Medicare because it is being overwhelmed, because that money was supposed to be earmarked for individuals that paid into the system? Will this damage the system?
Yeah, because, first of all, you're taking money, spending money that has to be budgeted for. And we already have a Social Security system that I think is out of balance. The books are out of balance, so that it's not doing what it was promised, which is creating basically ensuring our retirement. So, or any situation in which you cannot work, Social Security is supposed to give you security that if you stop working or lose your ability to work, then the taxes that you've paid while you were working is supposed to be able to fund your non-working years. But the budget for that is out of whack. It's not. They have to they're spending that money. So it's not actually coming from the taxes that we pay. They're spending that money wherever they feel like it, and just hoping that all of this doesn't come to a head, where they don't have some way that they can borrow some money to supplement Social Security.
So essentially, who is right? Kamala Harris that believes that they should be able to come across the borders in impunity, and Donald Trump that believes that you should follow a protocol to come into the country. Which presidential candidate is right? Even if it may be rhetoric, but I'm saying for the words that are coming out of their mouth, which candidate is right in your opinion?
So now with the immigrants and the large number of immigrants that are coming in, they're receiving a lot of stipends and a lot of money to to house them, to feed them, to do all this. So this is money that's coming out of the budget, which is already out of whack. That is, making the Social Security less secure, and then we're acting like the Biden administration, that includes Kamala Harris, is ignoring those facts, ignoring the fact that we're going to run out of money, that this is affecting the budget, that it's affecting our national debt, that this is a crisis that must come to a head at some point, but they're being incompetent. So there you go. That Biden administration, when it comes to immigration, that includes Kamala Harris, that's incompetent.
Okay. Well, when you make a statement like, so you're essentially saying, even though you may consider it rhetoric, that Donald Trump basically is right, but you believe it's rhetoric. I get it. I get it. Okay. And my other question is, do you think the former President Donald Trump is going too far to say that this will be the largest deportation program that ever took place? Because he's not against immigration, he's against people that have come into the country illegally. Do you believe that can be achieved, and do you believe that would be just?
Again, I think it's rhetoric. But you can't say that it's unjust, because as they always say, we are a nation of laws. We have borders, and for a long time, people have entered the borders and basically lodged themselves here illegally without any fear of deportation. Is illegal. So you can't fault the government if they was actually to enforce immigration law.
You know what? So basically, Donald, you know what? And when you talk about former President Donald Trump, do you think that the Supreme Court was wrong for making a proclamation, basically coming to agreement that the President of the United States, a former President of the United States, dealing with documents, they should have immunity? Meaning that president could take a bribe as long as he thought what he was doing was towards the best interests of the country. He could not be prosecuted. What did you think about that whole ruling of the Supreme Court judges?
I haven't read it. I've looked at certain news reports on it, and none of them were really thorough. None of them really explain the contents and the consequences of the ruling.
It did.
Okay.
It explained.
Well, not the ones I looked at, and okay. I get a little understanding on what they mean, what the rulings mean, and some of it is not surprising, right? Some of it is like, well, government officials have always had a certain level of immunity.
Okay.
So some of that didn't represent a change. It didn't represent anything that most people didn't already, or a lot of people, those who are informed, didn't already know. But seems to suggest that some of it does go a little bit further than what I understood it to mean. But I don't see where it goes. In the reports I saw, I don't see where it goes so far as to mean what a lot of Republicans was suggesting it meant, because they were suggesting that it covers him and his conduct after the election, calling around trying to get people to uh, come up with phantom votes or somehow just make the election turn on towards his desired outcome.
Yes.
So I didn't see that ruling, uh, giving him immunity for that. I didn't see the ruling giving him complete immunity, and regardless of what he does with documents or in terms of taking bribes.
Okay. So, if he has immunity, if he thinks that's towards the best interest of the country, but by asking you that question?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, some people are misinterpreting that, and they're to their political favor.
Well, the next president will have immunity. Do you think that Kamala Harris, if Vice President Kamala Harris, former President Donald Trump, if they become president, do you think that the president is above the law, that they should have been granted any type of immunity?
I disagree with the characterization.
Hold on, I gotta call you back on the broadcast. Okay. All right. Dang it.
I disagree with the characterization of immunity or this ruling, because you say the next president will have immunity. That's mischaracterizing, in my opinion, what the ruling was. The ruling, from what I understand, does not change anything. The president has always had immunity.
They put it on the books, man. What I'm saying,
it's been on the books.
No. If it was,
it's been on the books.
If it was on the books, the Supreme Court would not have made a decision.
That's not true. That's not what the Supreme Court does. The Supreme Court don't put stuff on the books.
Okay.
The Supreme Court interprets the books, so it can never go to the Supreme Court unless it's on the books.
Okay. So, but you think the president deserves that? They have a limited immunity. You think?
I think the immunity that they already enjoyed, and whatever immunity that might have been enhanced by this Supreme Court ruling, I'm convinced it goes too far in giving them immunity. I think that there's probably some immunity warranted, but very little.
Okay. Okay. And as we talk about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, when the debates do happen, and you know what, they're going to have 3 debates. What do you think do you think it's a waste of time, or that people have already made their mind up? No matter what happens at that debate, they're going to vote for their candidate. But I think it's a percentage that has not decided. What is your views about it? And what do you look for out of the debate?
Yeah, I think the percentage that have not decided is smaller than the margin of error. So I don't see these debates deciding this election. I think the general idea of debates is a good thing, because I think it's the civically responsible thing to do, to have a debate, a public discourse, so forth and so on. But what debates have evolved into today is a turnoff. I think, and you alluded to it earlier, I think what helps, like when I look at the one debate that Biden had with Trump, it seems like they had like the muted mics going on. So So, and I think that's a good thing. And if I recall correctly, it was Kamala Harris that didn't want the muted mics,
Yes. Okay.
right? So it wasn't Trump that was saying, let's unmute the mics. It's Kamala Harris, because
Yes.
obviously she wants to argue like a typical woman that, anytime you're making a point, they just want to turn up the volume and the static.
Yes.
So, your point is kind of drowned out.
Mm, mm, mm. So, what do you look? What do you look? So, you are you saying that people have already made up their mind in these debates, these 3 scheduled debates in year 2024? That's not gonna. You're saying? Are you saying there are no undecided voters that are going to make a difference? It's just
I
for
don't think so.
entertainment. It's just for entertainment.
You know what? Me estimating that there are very few, if any, undecided voters is
Mhm.
really giving our electorate, I think I could call it, the benefit of the doubt. I'm really hoping that's really a statement saying that they have some level of intelligence,
Mhm.
because to think that somebody is weighing all the issues and are still undecided is kind of preposterous. It's like I think that your intellect, I question it.
Well, I want to follow up then. If what you're saying is true, I mean, Trump beat Biden at that debate, and he made him look very, very bad. So I think that there are people that were coming to a decision. I'm gonna vote for Biden. They changed their mind because you're saying it's just for entertainment. I don't. I mean, how do you attribute after the
No,
debate
no,
that
I'm not saying
that
this for
that
entertainment.
Joe Biden? Okay, go ahead. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not saying no. I don't think debates should be entertainment. Uh, I'm saying it depends on the particular campaign, presidential campaign, or uh, political campaign that's going on. All the circumstances and the people running and the issues at stake is what matters uh, to uh, to determine whether or not this election will decide an election. This debate will decide an election. So when Biden debated Trump, one of the major issues, and rightly so, was the mental acuity and competency of Joe Biden. So
Yes.
I think that debate, did move the needle.
Okay.
And when I say the needle, I think it moved the needle within the halls of Congress more so than the needle in the electorate, right? Within the voters, right? Because even with Joe Biden's level of mental acuity being obviously slowed, I think a lot of people were willing to vote for him.
Yes.
He seemed like the better alternative, even to Trump, even with his low mental acuity.
Okay.
But I think it moved the needle more within Congress and those political insiders more so than the constituents.
I heard a lot of people say because of I'm talking about the voters say because of his cognizant abilities, I can't vote for him. But
Yeah.
okay.
See,
Yeah.
but you know what? I can understand that, but at the same time, you know, we dealing with such serious issues at this time that goes well beyond. Well, I don't know how well beyond, but it goes beyond the president's mental acuity. There was some more issues to be weighed alongside that you have to compare to.
I'm just saying that was an aspect that is involved, and
It
you're
was
right.
a significant aspect, yeah.
And you know, do you think that Kamala Harris, and we look at Donald Trump, and do you think that it is injustice that during these presidential debates, other groups like libertarians and progressive, they don't have the opportunity to participate in these debates so these different views can be heard, if not, and why are they ostracized when it comes to the Republicans and the Democrats, including them in a debate at all, like Cornel West or anything? Why?
Well, because the politics itself, it's called politics. Politics is, has a lot of nuanced definitions, and one of those is the way you wield power, the way you manipulate power. So the two major parties use and manipulate their power in order to limit the competition.
Do you think it's justified? I'm talking about from a voter's perspective. Do you think that it's justified to ostracize a party because they may only get 3% or 4% of the vote? Do you think it's justifiable?
I doubt it. But I would like to see that debate amongst, government officials and politicians debate the whole idea of reducing inclusion of other options,
Mm-hmm.
within the in the campaigns.
Yes.
I could perceive. I don't know if I'm correct or not, but I could perceive, problems with just having unlimited amount of parties participating. It could get confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
but I'm sure something more than two major political parties would be in order.
Mm. 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 And we talk about. I want to talk about the NRA. I don't know if you're a member of the National Gun Association, and I know that
The National Rifle Association.
yes, yes. And the thing is, I know that former President Donald Trump is backed by them, and Kamala Harris is not. What do you think about that association? Whereas they believe that it is justified to have a semi-automatic machine gun for protection, for hunting. What do you think about the NRA? First, tell me what you think about the NRA. And they say the right to bear arms.
So the NRA itself, I think, over the years has been.
Yes.
That's my problem with the NRA. I don't have a problem with the Second Amendment. They're one of the biggest defenders of the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
But it's unfortunate that they have a history of racism.
Members that belong to all nationalities. Can you expand on that, please?
Well, for one, I mean, at this point, yes, there's increasingly more African Americans able to, be members. I mean, if you're going to pay your money, I'm sure they'll accept it.
Mm-hmm.
And themselves defend their country,
Mm-hmm.
and that's to be the extent of the NRA's politics.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that the NRA is wrong when they say that I have the right to carry a semi-automatic machine gun for my defense or to hunt? Do you feel that because there have been individuals that have been killed with semi-automatic machine guns. Do you feel that the NRA is going too far? And then when you go to flea markets, you can get guns. Some places in the South would, I think, with just showing your ID, and they don't even make a check. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I think this whole notion, I think people just is hyperbolic basically when it comes to uh, using guns as a political or trying to ban guns and saying that, people have been killed by guns. People have been uh, killed with insecticide, you know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but yet we have a lot of non-organic foods on the market. People have been killed, with cars. We don't ban cars.
Mm-hmm. What I'm asking you is, do you think that individual ought to be able to have the right to purchase a machine gun if they don't have a record? And
You know,
they don't have any mental. Do you think they should have the right?
okay. So, I think when it comes to guns, I like to think that I'm a common sense person.
Mm-hmm.
I just think we should have the right, but I think it gets kind of ridiculous. Some people, people want to walk around with fully automatic AR-15s. I mean, I think you have a right to carry guns, defend yourself, but don't be a nuisance.
So you're saying that the NRA is wrong on that? The NRA is definitely wrong on that stance, in your opinion.
Well, I think okay. I think the NRA is right wing, which is to
Okay.
say they to the extreme right. And I think that most right wing groups and persons are more likely to stay right wing. Why? Because we have the left wing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's these extremes that make the other extreme more extreme. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of the reasoning of the right wing, right to bear arm groups, is that if they concede any inch, that the government would take a mile.
Yes.
So I
Okay.
think it's just a lot of pushback. But certainly there are people that just have this extreme ideology anyway, that you should be able to walk down the street with an AR-15. Another man, the 9-year-old girl and boy there that you're making feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Another mind, that black man that is made to feel uncomfortable. It's when people think about their rights, they think about, I should be able to exercise my rights at all times for all reasons, and it's all about my rights, and nobody else has a right but me.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, every time you exercise your rights, you do encroach upon other people's rights, which
Yes.
means that all rights have to be moderated and
Yes.
mitigated by the rights of others.
Okay. So it is wrong to have a machine gun. I get it. That's what
I'm
you're
not.
saying.
I don't want to say wrong. I'm just saying it's just too. It could be too much, given the situation. Now, if we was being occupied by Russia, then I say get everybody an AR-15, fully automatic, a grenade launcher, and some drones.
Mm-hmm. And are you also saying, like, in some southern states, you don't even have to show your ID to purchase a handgun? I mean, no background checks are made. Is that okay for it not to be any background checks to be made in these southern states to purchase a firearm? Is that justifiable? But and the NRA stands on that. What do you think about that?
I think there ought to be background checks. I think the fact that But I think that the fact that we need background checks is indicative of a greater problem. I think that, we're dealing with issues once they become emergencies and not dealing with issues before they arise.
Mhm.
So, there's the disorder that is being promoted in this society, the callousness. Abortion is an issue about callousness. Abortion sets the tone of callousness in our society.
Yes.
So it makes people think about the killing, taking of a life as being a human right. That's very callous. It makes people go who claim to be nice people go and rally and fight for the right to kill babies. That's very callous.
Yes.
So we have set a very callous tone in this society, and we're not dealing with that. But but we want to take people guns away because we say people too violent. But we're imposing our right to kill.
Yeah. And this brings me to this brings me to the issue that there are many people that believe that the Supreme Court at some point will make a decision on the quota system. What is the quota system? The quota system is if you have a place for somebody to work and it's over 50 people, you have to hire a certain amount of blacks, Latinos, Chinese, or if you want to go to college, Yale has to take a certain percentage of individuals into their institution, their educational institution. And a lot of people are starting to say that that is unfair. And this is something that the Supreme Court, I believe this will be coming up very soon, to eliminate the quota system. What are your views about that? Is it right? Is it wrong? Should we just do the same like Martin Luther King said? I want to get to the point to where we don't examine somebody because of their skin or their race and all that. Is this wrong? What do you think about the quota system? And this is the point that they're coming to, because there's a lot of people starting to say that that is unfair.
Well, my thoughts is that we already have a quota system.
No, I'm saying they're working to eliminate. They're going to, the Supreme Court, which basically there's more conservatives. They're talking about eliminating the quota system. And what are your views about that?
It's a tough question, to be honest, because if I thought that people could change, I mean, people can change, but if I thought populations as a whole changed, then I could be wholeheartedly behind eliminating quotas. Because I see it creates a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. It creates absolutely a lot of problems. And at the same time, there's a lot of damage done because of the racism and discrimination in the past. Now, here's the thing. The people that's complaining about these quotas are the same ones who made the quotas necessary. So it's hard for them to argue it. But I think that I can argue it, that these quotas are doing a lot of damage. Yes. And I'll use the NFL, for example.
Yes.
You got the NFL hiring women to coach men, and then they're winning the competition for the job over men who have NFL experience, having never played in the NFL. And they're on Hard Knocks teaching, imagine this, a woman teaching a man how to be physical.
Yes.
Right? I mean, this absurd.
I would say there's some women that can motivate a man.
No,
Because,
no.
oh,
Time. Don't go there. Let's
yes,
not. Let's
sir.
not. Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it a buck.
I don't
All
want
right.
a woman to coach for the Chicago Bears. But go ahead.
See. And we're not talking about motivation. Yeah, I mean, yeah, women are very motivating. You know, they motivate me. You know, just to be honest. But when we're talking about the NFL and a lot of professional environments, we're not talking about motivation.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about concrete inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. Motivation is words. Inspiration is deeds. That is what coaching is. Coaching is, I respect this man because he's done this before.
Yes.
So not only has he done it and can tell me how to do it, he can even show me. And what he says resonates. When these women coaches tell these men how to be physical, it's just words. It's just words. And then he has to dumb himself down, man himself down to receive it.
You know, that is interesting. When you brought up sports, and the president.
So I say it like this: DEI must DIE.
Okay. But you was talking over somebody's head. What are you saying? What are you saying?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion must have a termination.
Okay.
Right? You know, and that's prefaced by what I said when I started out. You know, talking about it, and it's hard to. It's I'm being somewhat funny, but that would be ideal if we had a population that could actually change, where we can do naturally what we've had to do with the writing of laws and policies, right? So if we could be diverse naturally, so equitable naturally, so and inclusive naturally, so we wouldn't need these laws, et cetera, to get to that point. So if we had common sense and, we just did what was right, we wouldn't need this politics of DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, which only puts, the power that people use contrary to the law required these laws, but now these laws in the hand of evil people are used in the same overbearing, forceful way as those who oppose what they're doing without the law. Those who oppose the idea of diversity, equity, and inclusion, somewhat contrary to the law, they impose immorally, they impose their ideas immorally upon others. And now that we have these policies and laws, we get selfish people that in the other aisle that are forcing their ideas and desires with the law.
Yes. As we move forward, when we look at Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, and former President Donald J. Trump, who do you think is best equipped to steward and have the responsibility of safeguarding the United States of America with integrity?
With integrity?
Yes.
Well, you had to add that in there.
Okay. Well, we can take that word out.
Let's take that word out.
Who do you think would be the best vanguard because you, like I said, I know that you're going to look at the debates. I know you are, and I can't wait till the debates happen. Who at this point, who do you think would be the best vanguard for the United States of America for it to
Well,
move
I'm just going to say
forward?
image matters, tradition matters, morals matter, decency matters,
Mm-hmm.
our children matter. That's what I'll say to that.
Okay, let's know. I'm asking you between Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, and Kamala Harris, in your opinion. I'm not talking about Kanye. What's that? Kanye West. Anybody like that? I'm asking you, who do you think would be the better president for the future of the United States of America? Who's going to put America first?
Neither.
One is going to win, though. So you'd rather not say. Okay.
Well,
That
I
is-
mean, that was my answer. Neither. But as far as who I think, as I tend to put it, offer more stability to the nation, whose presidency will offer more stability or the less instability to the nation.
Yes.
I don't want to say, because I don't want to feel like I'm endorsing somebody. I don't want to feel like I'm endorsing him, so I'm just not going to say.
You already did, but say I don't want to feel like I'm endorsing him. You already did say. Okay, but getting to this is, I probably got two more questions for you. The president. It is known now that the Supreme Court has granted presidents limited immunity. Do you think the police should be granted limited immunity? There's something that happened in Illinois where a older lady called because she was having problems.
Sonya. Sonya.
Yes, Sonya was having problems in her house.
Nancy, I believe it was.
And what happened is the police came into her house, and what happened is she had on a pot, I think, of boiling water. She was doing something on the stove, and he said, "I have to turn this off." And she said something, and she moved the pot. And what happened is the police officer shot her and killed her. Do you think the police should have limited immunity, just as Donald Trump is suggesting, so they're able to do their jobs?
No.
Why?
Short answer, no.
Why?
Well, that incident with Sonya Massey is Exhibit A. It's the very reason why my opinion has been and is no. It would be great if we lived in such a world that we can consider that, as a good thing. But, given George Floyd, Sonya Massey, Sandra Bland, Castile, Oscar, what's the guy? McDowell, I can't remember the name, the one that was shot 16 times. Because of these incidents with these victims, this is the very reason why we are in the unfortunate situation where that's really not affordable.
Mm-hmm.
And, as much as I appreciate a good law enforcement officer, and, what's the word? I, feel for them when I see a lot of just total disrespect for law enforcement officers.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to remind ourselves of the alternative that Donald Trump is talking about.
Yeah. Yes.
Because Donald Trump is totally ignoring that because, his privileged life. Because of his privileged life, he can afford to ignore what the consequences of what he's petitioning for means.
Yes. Well, when we interesting, when we look at both candidates, I'm pretty sure this is going to come up in a debate. Now, first of all, I don't know why it was even mentioned. Kamala Harris, he said, is she black? I don't even know why they are saying that. What difference does that make, whether she's black or not, in your opinion? And why did that subject matter even come up?
That's a good question. It's a good question because apparently it matters that she's black because as we, in keeping with the subject of DEI, when she was selected as a running mate, Joe Biden said that he was going to select a woman of color. So obviously her color matters.
Mm-hmm. And they keep on bringing it, she's not black.
So when people talk about whether she's black or not, I mean, it's kind of hard to shut that argument down because she owes the perception of her demographic to what was said and how and why she was selected to be Joe Biden's running mate. So when people question her blackness, I think it's really the same as questioning if someone was born in the U.S. If someone's actually a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
Well, that's not the example that I can best relate to.
Okay.
Because that was like something else. That was kind of ridiculous. I mean, I'm not a fan of Obama, but that whole charade was ridiculous because that was just trying to grab the limelight. But in terms of okay, so here's the thing. Joe Biden claims he won the presidency due to his boost he got, I believe, in North Carolina, in which he won such a large percentage of the African American vote. So he said, as part of his, I guess, reward or whatever, he's going to select a woman of color. I believe that's the language he used, some similar language to a woman of color,
Yes.
to be his running mate.
Yes.
Okay, so we see that race is significant to this. Now, when he's doing this in response to African Americans voting for him in North Carolina, it kind of opens the question: is she African American? Because that's who you're intending to reach with her candidacy.
Yes.
I think that there's a question there. I mean, pretty genetically and as well as culturally, and politically, is she African American?
One thing I notice about her, she does not talk about her father too much, and I always wondered why. What do you think is the reason?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I want to speculate. I mean, there's a lot of reasons it could be, but I have no idea. Well, I probably have an idea, but I don't know if my idea is nearly legitimate.
Okay.
I'd say I tell you how I feel about it. I feel
Yeah.
like it's sexist
Yes. Why you say that? Why
because
you
she
say?
talks. That's her dad, and she doesn't talk about him. She talks about her mom, but doesn't talk about her dad. I think that's sexist. Who does that?
Yeah, it's something. When you know what? Wow, this rhetoric. Do you think that this should just be off bounds? Where Kamala Harris brings up that Donald Trump has all these sex charges, and do you think that Donald Trump? Do you think that Kamala is out of place, and do you think that um Donald Trump is out of place for talking about the relationship that she had with, I think, the mayor of San Francisco to help her rise, and he was a married man. Do you think these two subjects matters are too personal and they should not even be mentioned in a race?
I think they relevant. I think they're relevant
Why you say that?
because both of them are egregious.
Oh boy, I'm
Really,
listening.
I think it's sad. I mean, you know, just dealing with facts. I think the things that Donald Trump has said about, he just grabs women. I think that's egregious. You know, I think it's just really sad and pathetic. And no less sad and pathetic is the fact that Kamala has angled, I don't know, whatever. There's the perception that seems to be well founded that she slept her way to the top.
Damn.
And I think that's sad to go from sexing your way all the way to the top to be president of the U.S. Pretty sad. If I were a woman, I would be extremely appalled by that still.
That's interesting. Well, brother, I'm gonna sign out with brother. Give us some finishing comments because perhaps there was something that you wanted to say, or there was a message that you wanted to convey to the listening audience that I did not cover. And tell us about your platform. How do people get connected with your platform?
Okay, so my platform is called Truth in Conversation, and the topic, the purpose of my podcast, Truth in Conversation, is primarily dealing with male-female relationships. And I really want people to tune in. And when I say male and female relationships, you may be first thinking about romantic relationships, and that's not first and foremost. Uh, I'm talking about male-female relationships across the board. Whether it's mother and son, whether it's father and daughter, nephew, auntie, niece, uncle, brother and sister, husband and wife, grandparents, grandchildren, every co-workers, male-female relationships across the board. That's the subject matter that I deal with because it's very important, because male-female relationships represents the fundamental building blocks of community. And the only way you're going to have a well-ordered society is to have strong community. This community is in peril right now due to redefining of marriage, due to people claiming they have options when it comes to both gender and sex, due to people transitioning or claiming to transition, people talking about they non-binary. All of these different things is an attack on male-female relationships across the board. So this is what I deal with on the channel. Men and women, we need each other. We need to come together. We need to have appropriate relationships and respect for one another. So that's what I deal with.
Okay. And I know you have a Hispanic audience, and would you like to say something in Espanol?
De cierto, pero tienes que saber que mi español es más peor que mi inglés, pero yo te invito a mi podcast, se llama Truth and Conversation, donde yo hablo de las relaciones entre las mujeres y los hombres. Todas las relaciones entre los madres y los hijos, entre los padres y las hijas, entre los tíos y las sobrinas, en los sobrinos, en las tías, porque yo creo que toda la gente tiene venir conjuntos para hacer una sociedad muy fuerte, una sociedad muy fuerte empieza o comienza con los relaciones fuertes entre mujeres y hombres, de marinos en las mujeres. Entonces podemos construir las familias más fuertes para crear una nación muy fuerte. Entonces, ustedes les invito para escuchar y mirar a mi podcast, se llama Truth and Conversation. Gracias.
Yes. And before we leave, both candidates, can you give us a synopsis of both of them? Just sort of just a synopsis of your feelings about one another. Can you do that?
Okay, yeah. So we have a couple of candidates running for president, and they're running for president under traditional objectives. They're all selfish, and then the cases where they're not selfish, they're not biblical. So we're basically choosing between candidates who we would think in my opinion, that offers the most stability or the least instability, and those are the choices that we have. And I think it's a stark difference between the two, but unfortunately, neither is pushing a godly agenda.
Let me ask a question in a different way. Can you give us a synopsis of Kamala Harris? Then we go to Donald Trump next. Give me a synopsis of
Kamala Harris. Okay. She's a DEI candidate. And, this is supposed to be the crowning moment of DEI. I don't think DEI is leadership requirement or how can I say it, a leadership skill, leadership plus, however you want to put it. It does nothing for the country. It does nothing to live up to what our founding documents are supposing. I think our founding documents start off with something in order to build a more perfect union. Speaks mainly. I think some of the most important words in the document is a well-ordered society. That's not being promoted by Kamala Harris' presidency. So, that's what we're choosing from. On the other hand, we have a president that is egotistical, that
Who you're
is,
referring to? Donald Trump, right? Former President
yeah,
Donald Trump.
you know,
Okay.
ego.
For the audience
There's,
to follow behind. Okay.
yeah, and then we got Trump, who's egotistical and, um, you know, maybe he's mellowing out some. I don't know, but still, he's, to me, very volatile, uh, and you know, he needs a lot of introspection, to come to grips with what his potential is as a president, what he could bring, how he could bring peace and stability. But as long as he's in it for him, it's going to create nothing but instability. As long as he's trying to please his base, he will offer instability rather than being introspective and conscientious about the position of president.
Wow. And that was a mouthful. So individuals, brother, I thank you for coming on. And like I say, this broadcast can be used in history if you wanted to know what was going on in year 2024, if you're trying to do a case study. And these are the issues that we were dealing with. And I hope that your generation that looks at this in the future, that y'all get past all of this and y'all can live as one. But I see instability. But brother, I want to thank you for coming on. Please tell us where your website is. Give us your telephone number again.
Oh yeah. So again, my YouTube page is Truth and Conversation. Mm-hmm. So I try to upload something every Sunday. I try to get it up there at 10. Hardly ever happens at 10, but somewhere during the weekend, I upload something. I have some very good content dealing with male-female relationships that are up right now. I really would like you all to check it out because, we all need you. We need you to work on your male-female relationship, whether you male or female. But working on it is productive if you're working on it according to the manual. So we are a creation created by the creator, and then we are also the maintenance and mechanics of that creation. And the creator has given us a manual whereby to work on and fix that creation. It's called the Bible. And so everything that I'm dealing with and suggesting to fix the issues that I'm talking about is in the manual.
Okay. Well, brother, I want to, thank you again, like I said, for asking these questions. And the questions that you answer are issues that will impact the society. I feel as though November 5th, the U.S. presidential election 2024, I think this is an important election. I think it's very important. But hey, wait till me and him look at the debates, because we're going to critique those debates. Okay. So, all right, Johnny, I thank you. And I'm going to give a shout out. Thank you, brother. All right.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, I encourage you to go to his platform to support him in his endeavor to make his platform stronger and stronger, because you know what? I network because I learned from Kennedy King and other places, you cannot live in this world by yourself, and you will not get all of the blessings. All of the blessings are not for me. It may be for him to get 1 million subscribers. It may be for me only to get 1,000. But I am most certainly glad with whatever Allah has allotted for me. So I greet everybody in the words of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And I would hope that you will share this content if you got anything out of it that is meaningful something to make you think to share this content. I would really appreciate that. And this is coming from Chicago, United States, Chicago, Illinois. So again, thank you. I know I'm purple. They say it ain't easy being green. It ain't easy being purple either. That's what I did something. But you know what? This is a learning process for me. And thank you for the people. So I see us people looking on YouTube, and I appreciate you. I'm going to end this broadcast. Assalamu alaikum. What your grandfather was doing. Any message for your grandchildren? Great.
Because I happen to have known someone who was in the NSA.
Okay.
All right? And they don't know what they'll know now. I've been in their building with him. Did you see it?
Yes, sir.
And they
Some people don't know what NSA is.
the National Security Administration. And when I walked up in there and seen that, it was like my whole life. Wow. They got video screens. I mean, from here to 35th Street.
Those street cameras, right?
Those are the screens like you watch on a computer.
Right.
All right? They got a room where they listen to conversations all around the country. All right? That's why I can say what I said.
Scary.
But they let me go because he was an important person. And they figured if he was pregnant, it was all right. All right? They made a mistake, but I never forgot that.
Well, wait a minute. Wow.